Mm-hmm. 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 Hey,
Hey, how are you guys?
hey, we're doing well. Thanks for being here, man.
Yep, no problem. Sorry about the. I'm gonna change the light. It looks like that light back there is a little bit bright.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
There, that's better. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Just all
Just had a
right.
couple. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm recovering from a couple of heart attacks recently, but
Oh shit, I'm so sorry about that. Excuse my language. That's
it's all right. It's all right. They took me to the cath lab and cleaned out some of my arteries, so we'll see how that goes.
is it they tell you what caused it, or do they know?
They don't know. I'm a diabetic too, so that adds to it. Plus, heart disease
Wow.
runs in my family, so.
Yes, I got heart disease that runs in my family too. That's how I lost my
Yeah.
grandpa.
Yeah, I lost my grandpa to that too. He was 56, and my dad's already had triple bypass surgery, multiple small heart attacks, and then a stroke. So it just runs in the family.
Yeah, yeah, my grandpa was like 53, something like that. It just
But
yeah.
they're at least catching it in me before it's like a serious heart attack. I mean, they're all serious, but it's more they're catching it in me before they have to like cut my chest open, is what I mean. At
Yeah, I
least
mean you're
some
here.
people. Yeah,
You're here talking
yeah,
with us. That's awesome, man. And three heart
yeah.
attacks. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
I had
appreciate you sharing
two.
that with
I
me.
had two in a short period. As soon as I got out of the hospital, the first time I got home for an hour and I had another one. I had to go right back.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. All right.
Start off, Phil.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Fight Talks brought to you by PeoriaLife.com. Today we have the illustrious guest, Jacob Vale, Tudo, Wingo. Thank you for being here. So, Anchuman has told me a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about your background from you. I hear you have a gym out in Galesburg.
Yeah, it's in my living room. I'm actually in it right now.
I say I saw the gear and stuff up on the walls. How many people do you typically train in there?
Sometimes I can get up to five or six, but typically it's about two or three at a time. I'm saving up so I can get into a studio and open up a gym inside of a studio. Working on things so I can get that going, but right now it's out of my house.
How long you been training for?
I don't know, maybe 20 years now. Since I was
Wow.
a little kid, actually, if you include boxing and karate.
Yeah, oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, I started when I was 6 in Taekwondo. I
Yeah,
went through a black belt in that, and then I took a few years off, and then I got into Muay Thai with Anchuman. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
tell me more about that journey.
well, I started out with Don Houseman at 10 doing karate, and then 12, I went to the boxing club here in Galesburg with Carlos Duncan, who coached the Olympic team twice. He passed away a couple years
Oh,
ago. And then I continued training there, and then when I got older, I I moved out to California and trained at King's MMA under Rafael Cordero for a few years, and then I went and lived with Jason Mayhem Miller and trained with him, and I've gotten my brown belt jiu-jitsu from Mayhem Miller. So
My
got
man,
a little
holy
bit of a
crap.
journey. Yeah.
Tell me, how do you get to meet Mayhem Miller?
Yeah, that was easy. I just trained at King's MMA, and he came in there, and for whatever reason, what it was I was training at the pro class, and I was throwing really fast left high kicks, and he had a bad knee, and he wanted to learn how to fight southpaw, and he basically turned me into a roommate. He asked me what I was doing because I was renting a room that it was from some people that didn't really like me that well, and he's like, "Here, I'll rent you a room for $300," which was like. It was only a couple of blocks away from Laguna Beach. It was in Mission Viejo.
Let's go.
Yeah, and he had a jacuzzi in the backyard, like an in-ground jacuzzi and swimming pool. I'd go outside and relax in the jacuzzi all the time.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, he became one of my best friends.
Well, like I know how, being in a gym and just being in the orbit of people like that, like these just absolute unit athletes that can, produce all sorts of spectacular feats in jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing. Like just being around those people just, I don't know, for me elevates the whole experience. Like they bring an element that you can't really get in other gyms.
It did too, and like being around all those big names, it makes it to where you realize that they really aren't all that much different from you and I, other than they're really good at fighting. They're normal people too.
Yeah. I was sparring with Jake Childers, and dude, he's so flippin' strong, and I cross-checked one of his low leg kicks, and that was just the biggest mistake of my life. He leaned right into it, and I had this big bruise all the way down to the bone, and he felt nothing. It was incredible.
I had messed up when I first got into King's MMA because I sparred with Benil Dariush before he was a big time UFC fighter, before he got into the UFC, and I just figured I'd throw a leg kick at him without setting it up, and he checked it, but he checked it right on my ankle. I was injured for I was still training. I would use a shin guard on my left leg because I'm a southpaw like him, but like my ankle was injured for like 3 months after that. I was hitting Thai pads with a shin guard on and doing partner drills with a shin guard on, like always.
That hurts just to think about.
Yeah, it took a good 3 months to heal up.
Yeah, I think about hitting those Thai pads with bruised up shins is
Oh yeah, it wasn't even my shin though. It was my ankle, like literally where my foot connects to my shin. It got checked right there.
Oh, dude, I don't know if I'd be walking after that.
Because it actually happened while I had a shin guard on. But the thing of because we were sparring, but the thing is that little spot in the shin guard, like I'll show you. I've got some shin guards. Like on this shin guard, there's actually a little soft piece of that seam right there. Mm-hmm. If you get caught right there, it'll hurt.
Oh yeah. I've definitely taken some shots in there. I guess that was more when I was doing Taekwondo. But tell me, it sounds like you've been through a bunch of different martial arts. What kind of stands out to you? What's your favorite to kind of, to practice and train?
Any type of striking that's effective, from Muay Thai to Dutch kickboxing to karate, anything that's effective, I basically mix it together.
Dude, Dutch is my favorite. Dutch Muay Thai is yes. Yeah. Throwing like 80%. Oh man, just such heavy hands.
I'll stack combo on top of combo on top of combo if I have students that can do it. It takes a little while to build them up to where they can do it though.
It takes me a while just to remember the moves because I only know like maybe 3 or 4 different combinations that are like, true Dutch combinations from a guy who taught it. And every single one had like 5 or 6, strikes to it. Really, like it would start with 5 or 6, but you could take it up to like 10 or 12, and then you could take it up to like 18 or 20 if you really wanted to past that. It was wild.
Hell yeah. But yeah, you can just keep stacking combos on top of combos, and it was really like for Master Rafael, his style was a lot of the drills that he did were like more Dutch style than traditional Muay Thai style. So a lot of you would, but unlike the Dutch style, he would throw a lot of Western boxing defenses like slips and rolls in with there on top of it, so
That's
that you
awesome.
could so you'd stack defenses that would set up your next offense. You know what I mean? He would combine defense and offense together, so you didn't really have to think about it. If he defended, you would hit him. It was basically if he hits you, you hit him back. If he doesn't hit you, you hit him back.
So what's your knockout punch? Like when you were to go and get in the ring, that was the move that you figured you'd be known for.
My left high kick or my right hook, but
Oh,
my left
that's
cross is pretty good.
right hook. I like to hear that because I don't hear about a lot of guys throwing a right hook. But you said you
It's because I'm a
fight
lefty.
southpaw, don't you? Yeah,
Yeah,
Fighting
it's because I'm a
southpaw, you're
lefty.
throwing that lead
Yeah,
hook, aren't you? Yeah.
yeah.
I was the same. Once I found my lead hook, I just love that punch. Absolutely loved it. What
I
about
got a good.
jabs?
Yeah, I got a good cross too, but I love my right hook. Just always worked, and it just fit the system that like I came to do. Like and with Master Rafael would teach a lot of stuff where you're using your lead hook for things.
Yeah, and see, I used to do Muay Thai. So when I'm sorry, not Muay Thai, Taekwondo. So when I started doing Muay Thai, one of my favorite things to do was the switch kick. So I'd just be
Oh
standing that right, and okay, I do like a Muhammad Ali, shuffle my feet, and then bam, switch kick.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
silly.
Switch
They
kick
didn't
is
like
good.
that.
Well, I mean, it's natural because you're left with, like you're in an open stance. If you're a southpaw and the other person's righty, it's an open stance, so their whole body's open to your strong side. But you have to understand that.
But yeah, but
But
you're also open too, right?
huh?
So, but you're also open too. But I imagine because you're fighting southpaw, you've got the advantage.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna know how to defend
yeah,
yourself.
exactly. If I'm fighting a righty, it's an open stance. If it's lefty versus lefty, it's a close stance, or righty versus righty is a close stance. But lefty versus righty is open stance.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And then yeah, I really think that go advantage always goes to the experience there, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Well, I mean, lefties always see righties in the gym, but righties hardly ever see lefties when they're sparring. So it gives the lefty an advantage.
So tell me about where did your interest come from in mixed martial arts, and where are you trying to go with
I,
it?
I watched it when I was a little kid, the very first UFC with my dad when Royce Gracie was choking out big dudes. And I was
Dude,
doing
Oh,
karate then when I was like 10 years old. Because I was buying Black Belt magazines. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We had magazines. I buy Black Belt magazine at the grocery store and look at it. And I see, what's this, UFC? And I'm like, oh, shit. And I show my dad and then his drunk buddies. They would get together and buy the pay-per-view boxing matches. They seen that. They wanted to see that too. I was this little kid. I got to watch all the fights because my dad would get drunk with his buddies and they'd go in on the pay-per-view and barbecue and all types of stuff. It was a lot of fun.
oh man, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I would occasionally get to watch the fights if I just happen to be out at like a Buffalo Wild Wings or a bar or something that was showing them. But I mean, it really was one of the things that piqued my interest because it felt to me like for a few years in the late 2000s, UFC was kind of falling off, and it was like, what's going to happen? And they got that big TV deal with Spike,
They were
and
being treated like it was porn or something. It was ridiculous, but it was also they weren't sanctioned, and they didn't have a sanctioning body and a real set of rules. So
oh, well, yeah, that's right. I forget about that. The landscape was totally different because back then they were like banned in like 36 states or something like that. They had banned mixed
yeah,
martial arts, and to think
politicians
about
were
that
all against it.
today, that's crazy. Like,
I can't remember that one politician called it human cockfighting. I was
John
like,
McCain.
is that
yeah,
where that
John
came
McCain.
from? Because I had
Yeah,
somebody, because I've been, wanting to build my own promotion for a long time, built around technology and safety, and developing stepping stones to getting into professional fighting
yeah.
for individuals. And somebody came up to me and we were having a discussion about it, and he's like, "Well, so what do you say to someone who calls that human cockfighting?" I'm like, "What? Chicken, when you cockfight, they don't have a choice. People who are getting in the ring are signing on the dotted line. They're saying, I want to be here. I want to participate in the most brutal and best chess match that there is." So
Yeah,
I think that to call it that is just ridiculous.
it is ridiculous, but sometimes you gotta troll those people.
So you got to
You just
troll
gotta,
those
you just
people.
gotta, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta mess with them and just, I don't know, but those people, you're not gonna get anywhere with them anyways if they say something like that. So it's like there's no point in arguing,
You
and
know, I
unless
I think that they should be in the gyms telling that to the fighters' faces. You know,
they're
go
not
go
gonna do that.
exactly, and that's exactly the point. Until they go in there and they see what these people are going through, what they're putting their bodies through to entertain individuals. I mean, to me, that's just I don't know. It's disrespectful and just out of touch with what's actually happening.
Oh yeah, definitely. They don't understand it. It is what it is, though. People are gonna be ignorant about things they've never experienced or went through.
So, what
Sometimes you
about
just gotta
you?
let that be, huh?
What about you? Or are you going to be fighting anytime, or are you going to be coaching, or
I'm,
what's the dream?
I'm done with fighting. I just want to coach. I didn't make it that far in fighting. I was halfway decent, but I wasn't nothing special. But I'm a born and bred martial artist. I still can't stop training. I want to train people to this day and just keep going at training people. I want to make, and a lot of these kids, they seem to look up to me and want to learn from me, and they want to succeed. And I see that in them, and like I feel like I can be a great coach, and it seems like it's starting to work out. I'm getting more and more people, and it's just I don't know. Coaching's a whole different thing. I love it though.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, coaching is just like a whole nother level. You have to be able to look at what somebody's bringing to the table and then tailor a style to them. It's
Yeah,
it,
definitely.
it's a huge
Like
challenge.
like shorter fighters, you got to teach them how to hit a Kimura, but the taller fighters, you teach them a leg triangle, and then once they get to a higher level, that laying on your back doesn't work. So I try to teach them your first. If you end up on your back in guard, the first thing you need to do is figure out how not to be on your back, not how to throw up a low percentage triangle or armbar that probably ain't gonna work and you get your face pounded in. It works at the lower level of MMA, but once you start getting to the higher levels, that pulling or being in guard doesn't work as well. Like
Yeah, I went to a Bellator show and they had like I think like 9 amateur shows or bouts before the professional ones, and I think 6 or 7 of them ended in a triangle choke.
right,
It was amazing.
but then once you get to the pros and you watch real Bellator show, how many fights ended up like that?
Just one. It was I
Right,
think there was
those
5
guys
professional fights that night.
they're usually scrambling to get back to their feet or be on top all the time, and there's a reason for that. It's at the higher levels you tend to get your face shattered when you lay on your back.
Well, so yeah, you get these forearms coming at your face or something else.
And they know how to defend a leg triangle or an armbar, so it's really hard to get it, especially when you're sweaty.
How long have you been practicing jujitsu?
I don't know. I almost cussed, my bad. Oh God, I don't know. I can't even remember. It's probably been submission grappling at least 20 years. Jiu-jitsu, like where I was actually had jiu-jitsu coaches, was probably 2011, 2012 maybe. But I was doing submission grappling at least like 8 years before that, so maybe 10 years before that. Actually, no, I did jiu-jitsu. I forgot to tell you, I trained at Team Stockton back in the day, like 2008, where the Diaz brothers were
I
at.
was gonna
A
say
long
that.
time
I'm
ago.
like, isn't that the Diaz brothers? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I forgot all about that too. That was for about a year of my life, because my older sister lived out there, and I went and stayed with her for like a year because I knew she was close to Stockton. It was actually Manteca, California. It's like a suburb of Stockton, right outside of it. And
Oh,
it was like a 10-minute drive to get to Team Stockton and train,
dude, what
which
was
was pretty
that
cool.
like?
It was really hardcore jiu-jitsu. It was like they would flow from one submission to the next and just keep going. It was really technical, but it was aggressive. And jiu-jitsu was never my strong point, so I love being there because it was helping me out a lot.
So did you ever get to roll with the Diaz brothers?
No, I got to roll with a couple of their purple belts at the time, and that was like 2008. I was a white belt there. I didn't know shit other than like I was training out here at gyms that said they were teaching jiu-jitsu because they knew how to teach you how to do a leg triangle. But it wasn't
Yeah,
an actual it wasn't an actual jiu-jitsu gym though, because I like when I went out to California and went to real jiu-jitsu, I realized there was a lot more details to this than what those guys were teaching out there or
yeah.
back here. You know what I mean? But this
Well,
was a
yeah,
different
because
attitude.
I had a it was a Taekwondo school, but he taught self defense, so he would incorporate jujitsu, aikido, judo hip throws, like just all sorts of different stuff. So like I knew how to do an arm bar, I knew how to throw somebody down on the ground, have arm control, and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, to your point, I had no idea the depth. Like even just to get a blue belt is just wow. Like you have to have a significant amount of skill to make that. It's really incredible. And
Yeah,
you said you're
yeah,
a brown belt.
yeah. I'm a brown belt under Mayhem Miller. He's one of my best friends. He's helped me. He's the person that's really helped my jujitsu out to an extreme degree. I got my blue belt from Master Rafael Cordero, and then after that, I got my purple and my brown from Mayhem.
Man, and do you teach jiu-jitsu now?
Yeah, it's the weaker point of my coaching though, but my strong point is to stand up. But I'm learning how to teach jujitsu. I'm good at it, but I got to get better at teaching jujitsu. It's new to me, like teaching the jujitsu the right way, because it's hard. People don't understand if you say turn your hand up or like this, that's a huge difference in the technique.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't understand that. It's hard for me to see what they're actually where it's actually making me better, because when I coach jujitsu, I start to see things that I didn't see when I was rolling myself.
Yeah, yeah. You can help your mind grow just watching other people go. So
Yeah, and
what's
seeing how where they mess up at and correcting those little things. It's actually really fun to build fighters, like because a lot of people around here, especially in my hometown, they don't have the experience or anywhere to go train at that know something for real. So, like when they come here, a lot of times I'll get a fresh piece of clay that I can work with and mold, and those are the easiest people to coach. The fresh pieces of clay. Because
what's your goal with your school there? So are you looking for like to train professional fighters? Or is this more of like a self-defense thing for the community?
Right now, I'm just trying to build it. It's out of my house at the moment. I want to get it into a studio and do a whole bunch with it. I want to teach martial arts to everybody, not just fighters. I want to have a kickboxing Muay Thai class. I want to have a jiu-jitsu class, and if one of the wrestling coaches locally or around wherever I open up this gym at wants to do a wrestling team, a local wrestling team in there, they can do that as well. I would be down for that. And I want to teach like everybody. I want to have like women's cardio kickboxing in my gym. I want to have like just regular Muay Thai for people that don't necessarily want to be an MMA fighter or a kickboxer, and regular kickboxing for people like that, and jiu-jitsu for competitors and people that don't want to compete alike. You know what I mean? I want it to be for everybody. So this should be, and I also want it to be open 20, like not necessarily 24 hours a day, but at least 12. You know what I mean? I'd like it to be open from like 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. at night, you know?
Yeah.
That way people could come, be convenient for people to come in, because I want to reach more than just people that want to fight. Right now, I have nothing but fighters, but after I get into a studio, I intend on doing more. And it isn't that I won't train people that have no intention of fighting. I'll still train them. Like I'll train anybody that wants to train. Just show up and I'll train you.
Yeah, that's awesome,
You know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you're wanting to cater to the really everything, the whole community, and be able to raise fighters to that next level too.
Right. Because when I was in it like 10, 15 years ago, and I was in Illinois, like all these gyms that taught MMA, a lot of them would only coach fighters.
Yeah,
and they missed out on on an opportunity to actually help out people and make some money at the same time while helping out people by opening up the doors to more than just people that want to fight in a cage. Because a lot of people, they'll want to train martial arts so they can develop some confidence in themselves, but they don't necessarily want to jump in a cage and fight somebody that's trying to beat them up too.
yeah, I'm the same way. Like I found that learning particularly boxing and Muay Thai really stepped up my confidence. It just felt like I really don't have to fight.
Yeah.
In fact, I was at Goodwill. I mean, 3 or 4 days ago, and it's just standing in line to pay for something. and this guy walks up to me. He's probably 5 feet away from me, and just is looking me dead in the eye and just flips me off. I'm like, what? What? You just flip me off? he goes, and then he goes, F you. I'm like, what? What is happening now? And then he lunged at me and then spit on me and then just started yelling all sorts of curse words. And I'm like, I started like taking my stuff off. I was taking my bag off, taking my coat off, setting it down on the ground. I'm like, are we really going to do this? Like, what is happening? Just like, it just goes to show like anything can happen at any moment in time. You have no idea.
And then people will say, don't worry about it. He's probably just has mental issues. Well, that doesn't help me. I still have to defend myself if he does attack me, mental issues or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what are you supposed to do? You can't just let him
exactly
bash your
what
face because it's crazy. Like, you can't let a sane person bash your face in for the same reason you can't let a crazy person bash your face in, because you need your face.
Yeah, well, the guy next to me was like, "Oh, there's clearly something not right." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but if he's lunging and trying to punch me, that I'm still gonna have to defend myself the same way." I had my hands up like this. I was ready to go.
Like this, same thing as this.
Exactly. I was doing this like open palm thing. Cause I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do. Is he gonna come up with a knife? I've never seen this guy before. It didn't seem like he would have like a knife or a gun or something on him.
The good thing to do when you're in a situation like that too, when your hands are like this, because you may have to use them to fight back, is let everyone around like say something to the dude that's being aggressive. Hey, I don't want to fight you, but you want to say it loud so that everybody knows. So that when the police comes, you'll be able to get out for self-defense, which it obviously is if you're not being the aggressor.
Well, I called the police too, and I'm still working with them to get the camera footage. They got everything on camera, so I'm really curious to see it.
Yeah, because otherwise you could have defended yourself, and then you end up going to jail too.
There was it looked like the guy's caretaker or something like jumped in between. He was an older fella with just straight white hair. He jumped in between and just kind of pushed him out the front door. But had he not been there,
you don't know what would happen.
I at least would have had to take that guy to the ground. I don't know that I would have, because I didn't feel like he was that enough of a threat that I was going to have to punch him. But once he spit on me, I was like, whoa, this is going a totally different direction.
That could spread disease.
Oh yeah, and that was what they asked me. Like, did it get in your eyes, your mouth? Do we need to get medical? I was like, no. Luckily, it just got in my hair and my jacket. I was mad.
That's absolutely disgusting. My bad, Aunt Shimon. What were you saying?
How did that even start in the first place?
Don't know. I was literally just standing there, and he just walked up and just flipped me off, and he just decided that I was going to be his victim that day. And
that guy must have been loony or have some sort of mental like schizophrenia or something.
Dude, he would have to. Honestly, that guy jumping in front of him, it was the luckiest day of that guy's life. If he had tried to put hands on me, it would have been game over.
Unfortunately, it doesn't matter if the person's mentally ill or not. If they attack you, you have to defend yourself.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a friend of mine. He owns a Muay Thai school. I shouldn't say friend. He's more of an acquaintance. But he owns a Muay Thai school up in Chicago. And he had a student that was just gone for like 3 months. And they're like, whoa, what happened? And he finally sent like an email or a letter. I was like, hey, I just wanted to thank you for everything you taught me. I was out in just like one of the parks in Chicago, and this guy ran up and just stabbed me in the chest, just right here in the chest. And he just looked down, took it out, and then stabbed the guy back. And then just started using all the elbows, Muay Thai, everything he could, just get the guy on the ground. Yeah, and he had a wound that was tended to for the next 3 months after that. But ultimately, Muay Thai saved his life.
So wait, this was Richard Abrams' student, isn't he? Or
no, this is a different guy.
Oh, the guy who owns Maximus. That's what I was talking about.
No, I don't know the name of the guy, and I don't want to say too much information because it's it's a coach's story, and
okay,
I don't want to
understand.
Understand. But it was relevant in this particular situation. So, do you have any? How many fighters? You said you had about five or six students working with you right now. Do you have any like up and coming fighters?
I have, yeah, Dalen Ellington is one of my up and coming fighters. I've been training the kid since he was for about 6 years, 7 years now.
Right.
And then now I've got him going to he's been going to Michael Fields gym. I've been sending him there to get his jujitsu, because he's got a lot of people to roll with up there. And Michael's an amazing jujitsu coach there at the Shed Academy in Macomb.
Okay.
He's one of my good buddies. Yep. My students get to go train there for free, and if his students are here in town and want to do something with me, they can train with me for free.
I love to hear that. That cross collaboration, that stuff is money.
He's an awesome jujitsu coach, and I struggle with coaching jujitsu at times. It just makes sense. I teach MMA, and I'm good at teaching jujitsu, but he's great at it. That's the difference.
I appreciate you being upfront with that.
I'm great at teaching the MMA aspect of things, and also the stand up as well. And I'm competent at teaching wrestling as well. So I mix everything together. But the main thing is the stand up and the MMA.
So where'd you get your background in wrestling?
In wrestling, just doing MMA all the time. Like I've done it for I was 24. I'm 42 now, so 18 years.
Man, so all I know is the Wizard.
The wrestling that I learned was from Mayhem. He's the one that got me on it, and then I come back, and then my nephews are like going to state for wrestling, so I would be talking with them, and they're like, I'm actually learning shit from my nephews about wrestling. Meanwhile, they're asking me questions about MMA, and they're learning MMA from me, and I'm just watching them. I'm proud of them boys. They did very well. Like there's like 4 of them that went to state in the family. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I think there's we've interviewed probably 3 or 4 of the Central Illinois top wrestling coaches, and man, these guys have incredible athlete backgrounds. Like they're just, I mean, they're all like absolute badasses in their own regard, and it's crazy to think how many other coaches out there that we haven't even heard of are the same level of a ridiculous athlete, and they're just working in a high school or at a college campus. It's incredible.
Yeah, because wrestling doesn't pay that much, so it's like something that you have to love to do.
Unless you get into professional wrestling for the WWE, then you can make some real money.
That ain't real though. That's choreographed bullshit. But
it's real entertaining.
It's entertaining as hell though. I love seeing big guys fucking argue with each other like they're in junior high.
Oh, I miss the old days with the Giant just choke slamming people. And
I was a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Sting when Sting was doing his crow thing where he was quiet and creepy.
Oh heck yeah. Oh yeah, me too. Back in the early days of WCW before they went crazy.
I would love to see somebody win an MMA fight by Scorpion Deathlock. That would be awesome.
Did you see the one where the guy won with doing the Walls of Jericho?
Yeah, I seen that. I called it was a lion tamer when I was a kid. That's what I called it. I was like, that's the lion tamer. And then I found out he changed the name to the Walls of Jericho. I'm like, well, same thing.
I couldn't remember what it originally was. Yeah, it was the lion tamer. Yeah. Back in the real days of WCW before he sold out.
My dad kind of ruined it. He told me it was fake, and then I turned like 9, and it was over with. It was UFC and boxing, and from then on.
Well, you had access to it, man. Like all I had access to was that late night cable stuff. If I could have watched UFC whenever those fights were on, oh dude, I would have been on that like white on rice and a cup of milk on a paper plate in a snowstorm.
Yeah, well, my dad's a good dad, and he was a single dad, but he was in the Ranger Regiment, 2nd Battalion. He was an awesome dad, but he raised me as a single father, so it was like, of course I was gonna get to see stuff like that. You know what I mean? He was taking me with because I had to go get him beers in between whenever he ran out. Like, I would try to make it to where it was in between rounds, have one ready to go.
That's good. You're taking good care of him.
Yep. That's how it goes. Got to take care of your pops, though.
So tell me more about your kicks, man. You were telling me that you had I forget. I started talking about my cross checks and some other stuff.
Oh, I just have a really good left high kick. It's really quick and really fast, and I can land it off punches really well.
So how do you train for that one? Because That is actually one that I've been wanting for a long time, but I struggle with.
It's because I've been doing it ever since I was 10 years old. So
See, I can only get it up to, I don't know. I just got to keep opening up my hips because right now I can only get it up to like about shoulder length. When I snap it off, you know.
If you try to bring it in super wide like this and then coming all the way around, it's going to be a lot harder. But if you just bring it up like this and then turn it over at the end, once you get to the head, it'll make it way easier, and it'll be way faster too.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Almost like a question mark kick, right?
Yeah. No question mark, because we're not faking a front kick. We're just bringing the leg straight up and then turning it over at the end. Like Entryman knows what I'm talking about.
The golden kick. It's called the gold. It was basically during the golden age of Muay Thai. It was a technique that was used a lot. So you bring it up and they flip it over at the last second. One technique they also do in Thailand a lot, like I see Buakaw Bachamak doing it, is he does this quick jerking motion
like
with his arms.
Like he's running.
He does that so it creates more thrust with the hip, so that way it turns it faster. Because in some ways the body is striking involves rotation of the shoulders in a circular motion as well as the legs.
It's because the way your shoulders move, your hips also move. Your hips move your shoulders. If I turn my hips a certain way, my shoulders are going to follow my hips.
Because like the logic I think of it is like a circular motion, like straight angular motions are limited. Circular motions are infinite because they basically the force comes back on itself. And you can use that to pivot, to basically set yourself up for the next movement, like a contextual flow of water.
That's actually how Roy Jones Jr. sold me on throwing the lead hook like this instead of doing the Muay Thai hook this.
That's how I do it too. But I came up for 12 years old in boxing, so it didn't matter what when I go train with it. I have trained with traditional Muay Thai coaches, but I was still going to throw it this way rather than this way because I could just pop 3 or 4 of them in a row real fast.
Yeah, so like in Muay Thai, the thought is that you know it's the same as throwing an elbow. So if you're like getting your distance, you miss, you can kind of step in and throw that elbow, right behind it. But I like the other side of it where I can just whop, just keep popping off with that lead hook.
Not only that, if you think about it, I can still hit like this, and if I miss, I can turn my hand and still land the elbow. Why couldn't you go like this and then you miss and then turn it into the elbow by turning your
hand? I was thinking like Western boxing versus Muay Thai, because in Western boxing you can't follow up with that elbow, but you also get more power.
But I mean, if you're in MMA or Muay Thai, you can't follow up with the elbow. I can still use the boxing hook, and if it does miss, all I got to do is turn my hand and then I'm there. Right. It isn't like I have to do this to get to here. That's ridiculous to think that.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody hasn't realized that. It's just natural movement. It's like people say, oh, only kick with your shin, but here you have guys like Sanchai and even older coaches like Samart and a lot of guys in Thailand also teach to throw roundhouse kicks with your foot. And they're not saying don't use your shin, but like you get more reach with your foot. There's so much more going on. There are so many ways to throw a roundhouse kick, and just because it's different than this way doesn't mean either way is wrong. It just depends on the situation.
Well, Sanchai is one of my all-time favorite fighters. That dude is just incredible. Incredible.
He's amazing. He's able to hit the other guys and not get hit, which is what he should be about, rather than just meeting in the middle and launching blows at each other. That makes no sense to me.
Well, his
especially
head kicks.
I'm a little guy, so like if I was to just try to meet people and trade blows with them, I'm gonna lose that battle being as small as I am. I gotta be able to hit without getting hit if I'm gonna win any battles. You know?
Yeah, well, he always seems to like use his hands to set up his foot striking, and he has incredible footwork where he'll just like he just flips you out and you have no idea what's coming and where it's going to be coming from. Even if you've studied him for years, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's like he hypnotizes his opponents with his movements. But he's hitting from angles. He's not doing like a lot of traditional Muay Thai where they just meet in the middle and like do that thing where they check kicks and go like this.
Well, like standing on your back foot, kind of.
Yeah, and then throwing one really hard strike, maybe 2 at a time, and then trading back and forth doing that. He's not playing that game. he goes out there and he hits everybody, but he doesn't let them hit him back, and they don't know how to deal with it. And it's
Dude,
amazing.
he's like one of those. You ever seen like one of those magicians where they have like a dude up on stage and they're like trying to like steal stuff from him, like taking his watch and like his tie off. As he, he's just like that. He just like comes up and just picks you apart, and you have no idea what's happening until you're just on the floor at the end.
Yep. And I like the awesome thing about Sanchai too is that he always fights people way bigger than him and wins.
Dude, speaking of fighters, we know my favorite fighter here, Sanchai. Who are some fighters that have really impacted you? Who's on your top 5 list?
On my top, I don't know. I really haven't thought about that. I can name some guys though, like Mirko Krokop was one that's why I like the left high kick so much for sure. And there's guys that like, I don't know, DC because he's short, but Anderson Silva for sure. That's why I went out. Dude. So I wanted to train with Rafael Cordero because Anderson Silva was one of his black belts. So I was like, that'd be awesome to go out there and train. Wow. And then there's so many different guys. Izzy's awesome. Pereira's awesome. I don't know. It's just like I could go on for days. Ramon Decker's probably the main one that I really like. If you guys know anything about Deckers, Ramon Deckers is an amazing fighter, but he passed away. Yeah, he passed away a while ago, but he was an amazing fighter, a Dutch kickboxer that went over to Thailand and was winning fights by knockout because you weren't going to win by decision as a foreign fighter, and then he got Fighter of the Year.
I do.
But you had something to say, my bad.
I had no. I was just saying I have seen him. I know who that is. I do. I've seen his old fight footage.
Yeah, he was super aggressive. The Dutch guys had a little bit of advantage in Muay Thai because they were taught to be super aggressive and not slow down because they were used to 3-minute rounds, whereas the Thais were fighting 5 3-minute rounds, so they would pace themselves a little bit more.
Well, yeah. Well, I also heard like when you're coaching Muay Thai, they typically tell you not to throw punches over like 50% of your power. You really want it to be like this fluid kind of snapping motion. Where in Dutch, they're like throw 80%. You're throwing heavy hands, like you're making these.
Oh yeah. Well. It probably depends too. The Thais might be teaching that in the gym if they're fighting every week because they don't want to knock each other's brains loose if they're fighting every weekend, which a lot of them do. Versus the Dutch, where their fights might be once every 3 to 6 to 9 months for a kickboxing match, so they're going to do their hard sparring in the gym.
Yeah, that brings up a really good point. Like the culture of fighting in Thailand is totally different from what you get here in the U.S. where you're going to be there fighting every week and you want to make sure you're there so you can get that money so you can fight every week. And same thing for your opponent across from you. Like they're in the same boat you are.
Yeah, so like you're not like those guys that don't go in Thailand, they don't go in there trying to hurt each other in sparring or prove themselves in sparring. I mean, not only that, even if you do that now, like it's pretty stupid. It's hard to get better by just always hard sparring. You need to do the hard sparring that has its place. Like so you get used to the intensity before a fight, but you also need to just have rounds of sparring where you're playing around more often than not so that you can figure out how to get techniques to work in real situations to where there's a lot less pressure.
Distance and footwork. I find that is like once you can figure out your how to manage your distance and use your footwork to gauge and get your strikes in. Oh man, but it's so difficult. But if you have the right teacher, things get a lot easier. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you think about coaching? Like, do you have any coaches you like to shout out?
Oh shoot. Michael Field at the Shed Academy in Macomb, Illinois. Rafael Cordero, obviously, I'm gonna shout him out because I learned a lot from him. Thank God he was there to teach me some things. And then Mayhem, he's like an older brother to me, and he's basically my grappling coach. I can't just say jiu-jitsu coach because he was teaching me wrestling with jiu-jitsu. So like that, he's one of the people that taught me a lot about wrestling because he used to train with Team Quest and all those guys back in the day when they had all the Olympic level wrestlers, like Randy Couture and there's so many guys out of that gym. I didn't know all the guys out of that gym, but that was a different era.
Yeah. Well, we should talk more about fighting today. I feel like things have taken a turn. We had like
Yeah, no,
suddenly we had all these good fights, and then all of a sudden they just kind of went away. What happened?
I think they just they flooded the market with UFC. Like honestly, me as a coach, I don't even watch the fights anymore. I don't really care. I just catch the highlights on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah.
A lot of my
Yeah, and
students get all excited about these fights, and I just honestly don't even really care anymore because I feel like I think I've just grown desensitized to the excitement of it from all the years of being involved with it, and also just dealing with the business aspect of martial arts. Like I don't want to pay to watch these fights anymore, and I don't want to waste the time trying to find a pirate link on it either. So it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
I'm just like,
exactly what you mean. I'm the exact same way. Like pretty much unless I go like to a bar or B-dubs or something, I'm likely not to watch it.
yeah, the only MMA fights I'm watching now is if my students end up getting a fight and I go watch them fight because I'm gonna have to corner them and get them warmed up. But that's about it. Otherwise, I don't. I've gotten to a point where I just don't care. You know what I mean? I care about martial arts more than I do the sport of MMA, even though I'm coaching MMA fighters. I just I'm not as entertained by watching a UFC pay-per-view card the way I used to be.
Yeah, it felt like back in the day it was something that everybody kind of did together. We all just went into this, I mean, with whether it was
Mhm.
Ronda Rousey or Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz,
But they only had one. They also only had like one UFC every 3 or 4 months back then, versus now when it's like every week, sometimes twice a week, and it's all year round. So you never get any of that time away from it to desensitize yourself of it.
Mm,
It's like it's like eating ice cream every day. Ice cream's good, but if you eat it every single day for every single meal, you're probably not gonna like it that much or want it. You
uh,
know?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I just wish there was a way it was more affordable because I mean, who could afford to watch 14
Right.
fights a year?
Right. And I'm not trying to pay you $80 every single time you have a pay per view, especially when you have 8 of them a month. Well, I'm being hyperbolic on that, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm right there with you. I think that the pay per view model itself is just it's outdated. It's old. Like the fact that we haven't come up with something better that's been I mean they have come up with other things. They just haven't implemented them very well.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody's just started their own fight league like that and like put it to where it's only online and you just connect to the link and then they get their money through sponsorships or something.
Yeah,
Other
exactly. The problem is they really just need to reach a whole bunch of people, and you burn through so much money so fast when you're putting on those shows. You have to find a way where you can manage the cost of the show itself, and I think you just have to kind of change how people engage with it. Instead of it being a big fanfare and a big audience, I think it needs to be something a little bit more intimate, kind of like the acoustic shows these have on MTV.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that when MTV actually had music on it.
Exactly.
I
Something a
don't
little bit smaller. It's more affordable. You could have more people from across the country. It would make it more accessible.
I haven't watched cable TV in probably 15, 20 years. I don't even know if MTV still exists.
it does.
I honestly don't know either. I mean, I was in the cable business for a little bit, but I quit out of that like 5 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
Sounds like it does though. Anshuman said it does. I haven't paid attention to cable TV in forever, so I don't have a clue.
Oh yeah, it's just gotten so outrageously expensive. Like I don't even have Netflix anymore for that twenty
Right.
five dollars a month.
What? Not yeah. Like what the hell? Like it's cable's been what? That's a couple $100 a month, and for what to watch 10 minutes of a show and 20 minutes of commercials, and then
Oh
they'll
yeah,
just replay it. And you're not even you can't even pick what you want to watch when you want to watch, and when I can just do
exactly.
it.
You have to pay extra for the TiVo unit or the recorder so that you can stop and record whenever you want.
Not only
Or
that, not only that,
go ahead.
the streaming industries aren't doing that well either. Like they're not even like the thing is with streaming, you're renting it the stuff. You don't actually own it. Like they can take stuff
Mhm.
off. Like I kid you not about this. Max just took off all their collection of Looney Tunes off. That's one of Time Warner's oldest properties. Shit, Looney Tunes is almost gonna turn 100 in a few years. Yet that's been entertaining people for like decades. Yet they just take it.
Especially kids.
Not
I grew up with Looney
Yeah.
Tunes.
not only that, even when our grandparents were kids.
They grew up with it too. Yeah.
Not only that, they might be demolishing the studio that they were made or stored in.
What, really?
That is, some people are trying to petition them to turn it into a historic museum, but because it
Looney
prevents
Tunes
this.
is Warner Brothers, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're owned by
That's
Time
what I
Warner.
thought.
They own
Yeah.
Max.
Man,
Well,
I didn't know
shoot.
all that stuff was going down. They're taking down the Looney Tunes. this is
They
this is
might make
ridiculous.
the Looney Tunes might be offensive to somebody nowadays, even though it does. There's nothing about it that's supposed to be offensive. It's just old.
Let's settle this in the ring. Let's get the Looney Tunes into an MMA ring right now. We'll settle this old school.
Like, not only that, I kid you not about this. Like, there was a very good movie they made called with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. What's the name of the movie that just came out recently?
Space Jam.
No. It came out much more recently.
Space Jam 2.
No. Because the thing is, here's a crazy thing. There was essentially no marketing towards the movie at all. Because it's almost like the streaming companies like Max, they're running their IPs into the ground and they don't even know how to use them effectively.
Well, yeah, they just keep merging all of the materials together, but they don't know how to capitalize on it. They're trying to use the same old subscription model that they were pushing onto the cable companies, but they don't have it.
That's crazy.
Well, and you think about like HBO, like they used to offer tons of different boxing. Showtime used to have different boxing stuff, and that stuff's all just kind of gone.
Was it
Netflix.
Mayweather Promotions through Showtime?
I think so, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they were.
Well, and
I
I
think it
mean,
was.
if you look at the last, I mean, really, Jake Paul has been filling in the void that these guys are leaving behind. If you think about it, all this money is on the table, and he's seeing it, and he's like, everybody hates me. Okay, let's go make some money.
Well, it's the era of the influencer. Like, you don't even have to be a good boxer. You can. It's about being a salesman, and he's an excellent salesman. I mean, you don't have to be as good of a boxer as Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson was in his prime. You don't have to do that. You just have to make people care and make some drama out of nothing, and then people will pay to see you box.
Can we all agree that the best part of the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight was where Mike Tyson kissed him once and I love you, and then walked away and just has his bare ass on the screen?
I didn't even know that.
Oh, dude, it's just so ridiculous, like just over the top. Yeah, go find the clip of it. It's
Congratulations,
hilarious.
Phil, for bringing that back up. I just wanted to forget that.
I didn't even know that ever happened.
Oh, dude, it was my favorite part of the whole thing. I was just laughing my ass. I'm like, really? This just happened?
He just wanted to collect his 20 million is all. 25 million, whatever it was. I don't blame him. I don't think I would have shown my bare ass though. I would pass that check though for sure.
I wanted to see one of those old Mike Tyson uppercuts. I just wanted to see him go.
I wish Jake Paul wanted to fight me. That's for damn sure.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I'd take that money bag too. All right. Or like Charlie Zennerhoff, is that his name?
Zelenoff. Oh yeah, the bully dude out in LA.
Yeah,
Zelenoff.
dude.
Okay.
I would love to see that guy get smashed.
Okay, I'm gonna suggest something controversial. So does Jake first? I need to ask some preliminary questions. Does Jake Paul do any kickboxing at all, or?
I don't think so.
Oh, so he does MMA and just boxing.
Well, he might be training some. He would have to be training kickboxing if he's getting ready for MMA. But I thought he was just a boxer.
Okay,
Yeah,
But
MMA?
I can't really speak to it though because I don't know the dude. So
I
for all
think
I
his
know, he's
brother-
boxing every day.
His brother was I thought training or something. He did that that thing with WWE where he was wrestling, and I thought he maybe scheduled an MMA bout, but I didn't see anything for Jake.
so here's the person. If one of those brothers does pure kickboxing, the person I want to see fight them, and this is gonna be controversial, Buakaw Bachamek.
That would be a bad day for them.
I know.
I was gonna say Blackerby.
I kid you not about this. When I asked the question, I've trained at a place called Peoria Muay Thai. I asked everyone a question. You guys think any of you can take on Buakaw Bachamek? everyone was quiet.
Yeah, I mean,
He's getting towards the age where Muay Thai fighters usually retire around 40, but the dude is still going strong still. He is slowing down, but the fact that they still call him the Black Demon, even though his title Buakam Bachamek means like White Lotus or something.
Because he always seems to fight angry and moves just straight forward. He's a very aggressive guy. And he has a lot of power.
That's how Michael Jordan used to play.
Oh, yeah. But Michael Jordan had some finesse to him. Buakaw ain't really a finesse guy. He's just a smash you up guy.
I mean, I guess you'd have to be a champion Muay Thai.
Buakaw's a wreck as a hammer. But Sanchez more like a scalpel and Buakaw's a hammer. So, like, it depends. What are you bringing to the table? One's a hammer and one's a scalpel. That's about it. That's how I see it.
Yeah, see, I would love to see Thomas Blackerby go against Jake Paul in anything, because I think that Blackerby could just annihilate him, and it would be fun.
Probably.
You don't think so on Shimon? You don't think Thomas could take him down?
I think he could. There are two people in the area I think who could take him. Well, it depends on what we're fighting in. MMA would be Thomas Blackerby. If it was boxing, I think it would be Anthony Holloway.
Well, I mean, Holloway,
there's got to be more people than that could actually take him, though. I would think because Peoria is a decent sized city. It's not a large city, and Jake Paul, well, he's good at boxing. He's nothing special. It's not like he's an Olympic gold medalist.
You have a point.
That has unified all the belts or anything. He basically done anything a normal person could do to become a professional boxer. He just was able to use his influencer clout to sell pay-per-views.
He bought his own belt.
Not only that, everyone wants to fight him. Like a couple of months ago, we did an interview with several fighters of Combat Academy at once.
I want to fight him too. It's money. It's a money fight.
All cheer them on. Not only that, a lot of people can't stand how pretentious he is.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is from out west, and they do that out west. That's normal out there.
I don't know, I just wanted to see him get laid out the way he laid out Tyrone Woodley.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Prime Tyson would have mashed him into nothingness.
I just
he
wanted.
could
I
probably
wanted one
mash him into
uppercut.
nothingness this time too, if it wasn't for the $25 million that he wanted to make without really working for it.
Yeah, that's right. Because he had a big bonus for going the distance, right?
Yeah, and I think you know what I mean. I don't know about that, but I just feel like it was a money grab, and I don't blame him. If I was 60 years old and could make $25 million by showing up to something, I'm gonna do it too. But he probably. I don't know why he didn't really want to fight. That is kind of wild, but it is what it is.
No, the word was that there was something in his contract where you would get like $20 million like up front, and then if it lasted like every round that it lasted, he would get like another $5 million or something.
Well, that was like
don't quote me on those numbers, but
that makes sense, and because he doesn't want to knock him out because he's basically not getting paid to knock him out. You're getting paid to not knock him out. And Tyson has so much power, and them hands are like dynamite. He's like, fuck, I can't even touch him because I might put him to sleep on accident.
Well, exactly, because you could see that part way into like the second round, like he was ready to just light him up, and you could see him like just holding back. It's like, okay, he can't take this.
I'm just glad Tyson was at his age was able to take the abuse from Jake Paul, because like he's Mike Tyson, yeah, but he's still not. He's an old man now. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand that. Like, it's not this. He's not what he was when he was 30. When he was 30 years old, 25 years old. It's not the same Mike Tyson.
Well, and the only real boxer that he's fought was Tommy Fury, and even that at the time was questionable to call him a real boxer. He had a few amateur fights under his belt, and maybe a professional one, but he nothing really to write home about, and comes in and just. I mean, he makes him look like a chump. He took him the distance. He beat him. It'd be really interesting to see him go against someone who is a sharpened, athlete who has experience in the ring, but is also in their prime.
Yeah, definitely. But he knows better than that. And it's about making money. Jake Paul is never going to be a heavyweight champion or a champion, and that's just not what he's doing. He's not the super athlete like that. He's somewhat athletic. It's for him. It's just making money, and it's interesting because we're living in the age of that internet influencer.
Yeah, these are facts.
He's
We just
figured
need
out
fighting to catch up with influencing.
Right. I mean, if I had a podcast and I can make 1 million people hate me, I would take a professional boxing match with somebody and then sell it on based off of people hate me. Like, why not?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, it's a brilliant marketing scheme.
Okay, I'm going to take this conversation into a very crazy territory
All right.
in regards to Tyson being an old man. So I kid you not, I don't know if you go. I think I mentioned to you, Phil, a few times, but Jacob, you probably won't know this. So there's a place called the Broad Institute it's a joint venture between Harvard and MIT. Like, they're doing stuff out of science fiction there, like trying to revive extinct species. Like, one thing they're working on is age reversal. Like, they won't be able to turn you into a baby and stuff, but it'll, like, be able to turn, like, I don't know, a 60-year-old into a 20-year-old.
Well, yeah,
That
they've
would
been
be
working on
amazing.
that
Why
for.
would you want to go younger than that? Like, I don't want to be a teenager again. I'd like to be 20 again.
I actually know a little bit about this. So what happens is, as you age, it's because your DNA strand, the ends of it, they get damaged, and so there was
Mitochondria.
The telomerase.
but there was actually the thought was that there was a bonding agent that you could apply to the end of the DNA strand, and that would stop the damage from occurring and effectively cure aging.
That would stop it, but that doesn't sound like it would reverse it.
Exactly. It wouldn't reverse aging. It would just stop you. It would stop wherever it is. So if you wanted to be 25 forever, you would stop at 25 and you'd be 25 until you died.
That'd be crazy. You wouldn't have to worry about dying from old age with that.
Nope. Yeah. I
So
mean,
you
think like
die-
sharks. Sharks don't die of old age.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Maybe. But that is crazy.
Like great whites, like the thing that kills them is they get too big. And once they get too big, they lose the amount of energy that they need to be able to sustain themselves, and they just wither away.
Yeah, because I could see that happening. Because
That sounds a lot like overeating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. You just get too big, and then you're done for. But other than that, I mean, they just recently started seeing cases of cancer in sharks, but previously it was like practically unheard of.
shit, maybe some of the water's radioactive. Who knows?
Well, that's exactly it. That there was some
Well,
pollutants that
like-
were causing
like-
mutations in cells.
Like, great white sharks are very interesting animals. Like, they eat all sorts of stuff that has mercury. Animals that have mercury, arsenic, and stuff, and yet they don't get poisoning from it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's crazy.
Like, there's actually one story of a great white shark. Actually, I saw this on a comedy YouTube series of actually drowning a humpback whale. What she did first was bite into its dorsal fin, so that way it bleeds out. Then she basically held its head underwater for an hour.
Wow.
There's only
brutal.
one thing. There's only one thing in the ocean that great white sharks are terrified of.
Orcas.
Yes.
We knew it.
So
Someone here watches Shark Week.
So one thing orcas actually do kill great white. It's similar to that story I just told you. They basically flip great white sharks older and hold them in place, because the thing about sharks are they need to be constantly moving to actually use their gills.
Yeah.
So if they stay still, they essentially can't breathe. So they basically drown them underwater.
Brutal.
Like, it's
They also like to come up underneath them and bite their liver out.
craziest thing about about orcas are they're not actually whales technically.
Yeah, they're dolphins.
Yeah, they're the largest
really?
species. They're the largest species of dolphin. Of course, when you think, I mean, it's kind
Dolphins
of
are mean as hell, but they're not, like to the rest of Mother Nature. But for some reason, they like people. So we got kind of lucky on that one.
I'll take it.
I mean, there's never been. I mean, there was that incident of a killer whale. I mean, orca going crazy at SeaWorld and killing a trainer. But
Yeah,
in the
but
wild,
not a wild one.
not wild ones are like this is an actually very interesting story. Like in the wild, they actually there's with this whaling crew, they actually made a deal with a pot of orcas. Like they would herd out these whales, and they'd kill the whales. In exchange, they basically give them some body parts to eat, like basically a bunch of hunting dogs.
Oh wow,
So
that would be if you could train them, why not?
So one thing, hey guys, just to let you know, I think we're gonna have to close the interview because it's starting to get over an hour.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
you're
that's
right.
fine.
So thank you everyone for tuning in to Peoria Fight Talks.
Brought to you by PeoriaLife.com. Thank you, Jacob Vale, Tutor,
Vale
Wingo.
Tudo, actually. Vale Tudo. It's Portuguese for anything goes. It's actually Vale Tudo. They used to call the MMA fights in Brazil the Vale Tudo.
Oh, no kidding. Vale Tudo, Wingo. Okay, thank you for that. Much
Oh,
appreciated. I asked
yeah.
Anjuman beforehand. I trusted you, Anshu.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Some people, it's all right. It ain't that big of a deal. I just went with it when I learned what it was and loved it because that was the roots of MMA. It's the Vale Tudo
So,
competitions.
I
They still have them.
I assume
YouTube it sometimes.
I assume that was your full name because I think you mentioned on social media you're Filipino, and sometimes in
Yeah,
Spanish.
I'm half Filipino, and my dad's white and Native American. That's why my last name's Wingo. It's a Native American last name.
So I wasn't completely
Awesome.
sure. I thought it's because you were. I don't know. That maybe that's some cultures they state their whole name, including like the middle parts and stuff. So I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Well, if I would have got my mom's name, a Filipino name, I would be Jacob Alejandro
Oh,
or Velasco, one of the two. She actually had, I don't know how, but she had two different last names. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know.
so thank you everyone for tuning in. See you next time.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Jacob.
Yep. Pleasure to be on.